ask the question of why. What's up, fam? It's your boy Demuir here, purveyor of all sounds underground. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel today, where I'll be discussing the topic of sounds to process or not to process. I'll jump into the details of that one in a little bit, but before I do so, what I need from you is that SLC. Hit subscribe, like, and comment, and more importantly, hit the notifications bell to stay in touch with the new videos that we have up and coming. Alright, so let's jump into things. Sounds to process or not to process. The reason why I'm doing this video is because I've often been asked, like, how do I approach processing certain sounds, and it really comes down to the sound source. We're in a day and age where we can access sounds from a multitude of areas, be it the internet, vinyl, cassette tapes, and MP3 wave files, and I can go on for days here. So it leads me to my first point of point number one, which is to ask the question of why would I want to process the sound in the first place, or even ask the question. And the reason being is because we can get our sounds from a multitude of different areas, we do not want to be in a position where we're over processing. So for example, if I take a sound from a vinyl record, I definitely know I might have to do some processing, because depending on the quality of the record, if it has scratches or how it was originally recorded based on that era, like if it was the 60s versus the heavily compressed 2000s, I will definitely have a different approach in terms of how I want to EQ or process that specific sound. So it's important to ask the question of why, because ultimately, if you're not asking the question and you're just throwing in things and you're automatically assuming that everything needs to be processed, you could find yourself in a position where things are over processed and your mixes sound super dull and the song doesn't have the dynamics that it could have had in the first place. So this leads to point number two. When should you process? Well, you definitely want to process, as I said, from vinyl. If you sample a source that is quite thin, like the internet, or where the sound was originally squashed to death and you might have to add some brightness to the sound depending on what it is, those are the opportune times where you want to make sure that you have it sitting well in the mix, because the sound source was so muddied or tainted to begin with. And point number three, what sound should not be processed? Well, given today's day and age, we have access to a multitude of sample packs as well as modern records. We might sample off of a WAV file or an AIFF file. Those things are already EQ'd and mastered up, so much to the degree that you do not need to add any further processing to it. You know, the only exception I would make is it's fine if you have a beat break off of a record you really liked and you're going to chop it a little differently, then go ahead, do a low cut so you can fit your own kick in, for an example. But it doesn't need to go through a massive bus with a multitude of chains to come out with a sound that you think is just great. You're now involved in over processing, and it's just completely unnecessary. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on sounds, what to process or not to process. Short and sweet video, but an important topic that we should be concerned about, because a lot of different sounds, depending on where they come from, could already be processed, and then we find ourselves in the peril of over processed mixes that just sound dull without any dynamics. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Hit subscribe, like, and comment. I usually join the conversation within 48 hours of posting these videos, and more importantly, hit the notifications bell to stay in touch with the new videos that we have up and coming. Much love and respect to you. Peace.